This is the webinar for responsible conduct of research, ensuring researchers understand their professional responsibilities. This should take 45 minutes of your time today, and it includes a designated question and answer session at the end. If you are familiar with GoToMeeting software that we are using, you might know that the question option is a part of the panel on the right-hand side of your screen near the bottom. Please feel free to ask any questions if and when they come to you, or there will be a designated time at the end as well. We will be making a recording of this webinar available, so if you wish to view it again or share it with your colleagues, that is an option for you. It should be available at the beginning of next week and will be emailed to you. So first, a few introductions. That's me, Anne Marie Turner, on the left. I am the product manager for the research program at Epigeum. And now I will send it over to Nick and Olivia to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Nick Stenek in Michigan.
And Olivia?
Hi everybody, I'm Olivia Spiro, based in the London office, and I'm the product manager for Impact, which are added on assessment tools, which I'll be telling you about later on.
Fantastic. So just a quick reminder of our agenda for today. We will be including a little bit of background on Epigeum itself, and then we will move on to Nick's presentation about the responsible conduct of research program. And then finally, Olivia will go over and do a walkthrough demonstration of the responsible conduct of research course, including information on the impact program. A little information about Epigeum. We were founded in 2005 by a spin-out originally from the Imperial College of London. Our two founders created the company in response to what they felt was a lack of timely support for researchers. One of our founders was doing a PhD at the time, and while also working full-time, he came across issues that he wanted and needed to be advised on. It would either be that there would be a face-to-face course in 3 months' time that was being offered, or that there was an inadequate, dated, or boring material online that didn't quite fit what he needed. So he saw this as an opportunity to work with universities to create supported materials for researchers, particularly PhD students or postdocs like himself, that gave just-in-time support for all those issues. And that's where we started, in this sort of research arena with higher education. In the 10 years since, Epigeum has expanded to include study programs for students and also teaching and leadership programs for the staff themselves. Recently, in the May of 2015, Epigeum was acquired by Oxford University Press. Since the press is a division of Oxford University, we're still within the not-for-profit organization in a higher education context and is still very much focused on creating high-quality materials. To date, in the decade since we have formed, we have created over 92 online courses across 19 different programs and currently have 7 new courses in development. For our global experience, Epigeum is working with over 260 universities across 30 different countries worldwide today. This map shows you the countries we have been involved with. Now, to learn a little bit more about our unique way of developing courses.
The story of an Epigeum course. We come up with an idea and we consult widely to develop and fine-tune it. We commission a team of expert authors to write it and a team of expert reviewers to help them. We commission a lead advisor who gives strategic vision and leadership. And we bring together a team of universities who form a development group to give feedback on our plans and prototypes and to make sure the product meets their needs. The collaborations we build are drawn from across the world and often involve input from over 50 academics, as well as our team of in-house specialists. Because we believe that collaboration and iteration are the key to producing truly innovative and effective products. So we bring everyone together for a launch workshop at the start of each project. It's a great mixing pot where the creative juices can flow and expertise can be shared. We provide a week-long training course for our writing team to make sure they're able to get the best out of the online medium. And we provide plenty of opportunities for sampling and feedback along the way through a detailed peer review process. In fact, a typical product goes through at least 5 iterations before it's ready to be built by our in-house developers. Together we're more than the sum of our parts, and our unique and rigorous product development process gives all collaborators access to groundbreaking courses they couldn't have created alone. Here's what some of our customers have to say. Our products are used by over 200 institutions in 25 different countries. To find out more about the collaborations we're currently building, click on the Next Steps button or get in touch with us direct. We'd love to work with you.
The next important thing to know about Epigeum is how we go through the implementation of each of our courses. Firstly, you can use it as a standalone academic course. You can supply the students with an online multimedia-rich course immediately at the time and place they need it, and so they would be able to do a self-study mode. The advantage here is that you can make the course quite personal and release training on demand, and so it's the most flexible option of the three. Secondly, in the middle, we have the option for tutor support. There's plenty of supplementary material available as part of the course, which you can use to enhance the course. Tutors can be used to provide feedback that cannot be provided by computers. They can work on community-based features, give motivational messages, and so there's a whole tutoring side that the course can be used if you do have that. The advantage here is that the course is allowed to be moved more effectively, and so it's loose and flexible as you would tend to have a fixed start and an end time. Finally, and this is the most common use of our course and the program, is that there can be used as a blended learning program. Typically, how this works is that the students are given access to online courses ahead of a workshop. And then the workshop would really focus on consolidation and application of a material. This is considered to be maybe the most effective pedagogically and also the least flexible. Thus, you have a spectrum here from the most flexible on the left to the most pedagogically effective on the right. You can also implement the courses in all three modes at once. So together, these three methods of implementation provide you with quite the armory to get your students the support and knowledge they require. Now, I will turn it over to Professor Nick Stenek, and he will give you more information about responsible conduct of research as a course. Nick will be taking over and showing the slideshow in just one moment.
Good afternoon, good morning. I don't know where any of you are at this particular point. I'm in Michigan, where it's currently a little bit cloudy, but what I want to do is I want to introduce you to the Epigeum Responsible Conduct of Research courses. These are two courses that I've been very much involved with. I've been the lead advisor and also done quite a bit of authoring on them. I'm sure most of you, I don't have to tell you that misbehavior is a significant and possibly a serious problem in research today. It's estimated that somewhere around 400,000 articles were published in what are called predatory journals, that is, journals that have no peer review. One study turned up 80,000 cases of possible plagiarism that have never been investigated. The leading researcher on retraction watch list has had 183 articles retracted. It's estimated in one study that about 85% of all clinical research is wasted. 40% of researchers who suspect misconduct never report it. 33% of researchers do not keep proper research records, and about 1% of researchers admit, and this is now in several surveys, that they actually engaged in serious misconduct over the last 3 years. So I said misconduct is a significant and possibly a serious problem, and it's presumably why you're interested in providing training on the responsible conduct of research. How can integrity be improved in research? The three ways that have been widely used are to first define misconduct and then penalize misconduct. That's something we've been doing for close to 30 years now. There are some efforts to establish and publicize best practices, such as codes of conduct, and the one thing that seems to be universally agreed to is that improved training is important. The efforts to improve training started in the 1990s when it was strongly recommended and eventually required. This led in the early 1990s to increase in RCR courses and books, and by the end of the 1990s there was a slow growth in web-based training. Epigeum moved into this field shortly after 2011 when I started working with them, and we released our first course in 2012. And it's these courses, the two courses, that I want to talk to you about today. Leading into that discussion, I want to do a short survey, and that is, does your university currently conduct RCR training?
So the majority have said share. I've said yes.
Okay, good.
For the second question, a follow-up by Nick. If yes, as a course, as a special lecture series or workshop, or online? Wait a few more seconds. The majority have you said as a special lecture series or workshop, with online coming close second.
So the survey questions was, does your university currently offer RCR training? And the majority, it does. The majority, half of you use special lectures and workshops, about 40% used online. So why did Epigeum step into the training in this particular area? What did we hope to accomplish? Well, we believe that the RCR training could be improved. In-person training, which a lot of you use, has some problems. It's inconsistent across courses and institution. There's a shortage of trained instructors, and it actually is expensive. The online training that's available also has some shortcomings. It's not engaging, and there's a lot of evidence that it's really not taken seriously, that people go through it and they can't remember anything after they've taken the training. And the common shortcoming of all training is there's really no evidence of impact of the training. Since we started training in the 1990s, there's no evidence that the problems have decreased, and if anything, the problems are increasing. So Epigeum's goals are to design more engaging and effective courses and to develop tools for measuring impact of the training. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, as to what we're doing in that area. So our pedagogy, the way we develop the courses, is that we believe that web-based training has important advantages. It, first of all, develops a consistent content across an institution or across the training. It can be used to engage and motivate learners. It can give you consistent learning and program assessment, and it's efficient. It's by far the least expensive way to deliver broad training to a large number of people. The one caveat is that web-based training is good if it's used as blended learning, and that means the learning starts on the web, but there has to be some follow-up at the institution. The core experience and the content are provided on the web, but the learning has to continue in classes and in practical experiences such as a research experience or discussions online, chats, and so on and so forth. So we believe in online training. We believe in developing in a way that is used for web-based, for blended learning. And then finally, what we've integrated in our courses now are certification and assessment that is actually part of the learning and not something that's totally separate. So if you look at a traditional online training course, you put some content online on screens, you add a test, and you have a course. And that's what a traditional online training program is. It's good for check-the-box learning. You can say people have learned. The content is static. The learning is largely memorization. And the impact, as far as you know, is by and large limited. What's different about an Epigeum course is that we start with a development group. Through the input from the development group, we develop interactive screens. We have a rubric-based or a rigorous certification system, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, and then we pass the training back to you for blended learning in courses, seminars, one-on-one, whatever you want to do. And then we've built into our training the impact system, which lets you track participation and certification, assess learning satisfaction and the impact of the training, and gather information on institutional climate. And that's the difference between an Epigeum course and just a standard online course. So we have right now a basic course and a concise course. The basic course, starting off, that's what our welcome page looks like, and I'll give you some emails at the end that you can get demos to look at the courses in more detail. The basic course is for beginning researchers. It comes in 5 versions: biomedical, social, physical, humanities, and engineering. It takes about 4 to 5 hours, and the features is it comes with certification, the impact analysis, and tools for blended learning. The design of our courses, we generally take a Socratic approach, and I'll illustrate that just a minute. We have interactive learning activities that you have to engage the learning, videos, poll questions, learning assessment, climate assessment, and then, as I say, the blended learning is built in. And all of this is hosted on the Epigeum site so that we update it and keep it current for you. It's not something that you actually have to do. Here's an example of a Socratic approach. You get shown an article like that: why some wars like Syria's get more attention than others like Yemen's. And there's the opening paragraph of this story. It is a truth universally acknowledged by every war correspondent, humanitarian aid worker, etc. And then we put onto that another quote. It is universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. So when you look at this, the question is this plagiarism? No quotes? If we had this on our site, we would go ahead and have a discussion of this. And we might even have a poll question, such as the following one on the RCR course. If a co-author on one of your papers was found to have plagiarized a few sentences and the paper had to be retracted, would you still list it on your CV? Sure, I did nothing wrong. Well, yeah, but I'd mention the retraction, or no, I would not mention the retraction. When you answer a poll question, you get responses from the others and you get feedback. So once you answered it, you would find out that among the people who have taken the course, when I first did this slide, 2% said, yeah, I did nothing wrong. 65% you said, yes, I would mention the retraction, and 30% said, no, I would not mention the retraction on there. So there's a clear split, and that's where there's a need for a follow-up conversation. We do some of that conversation on the web, so if you selected yes, I did nothing wrong, many journals hold authors responsible for the entire publication. We explain that. If you selected yes, but I would mention the retraction, this is an honest option, risks having an impact on your career. For example, interviewers might take your failure to catch something your co-author did as a reason to select another candidate. If you selected no, the question is, would anybody find it out later on, and then what would they say about it? So the Socratic approach is one where we ask a question, we engage you in thinking, we encourage you to continue that discussion in blended learning back at your home institution. Interestingly, the polls provide us with information. So these are the cumulative results of this poll. It shows us that the variation is fairly consistent internationally. So the same thing seems to be taught. The one aberration here seems to be engineering and technology, which seem to be the least open. The only one where the yes and the no, the orange and the green, are reversed from the other ones. Interesting to think about why that's the case. These polls are a part of the impact system, which I'm going to discuss in a little bit later. The concise course is designed for experienced researchers. Our philosophy is that for experienced researchers, they only need to have essential learning. Learning should be on a need-to-know basis. The audience is confined to experienced researchers, not new researchers. And we have some supplemental generic content, some national policies. It includes impact. So the course content is in introduction, planning, conducting, sharing, and professional issues. Those are the 5 modules. The supplements are human participant, animal research, conflict of interest, safety and health, and intellectual property. The human participant is a short introduction. Epigeum also has a full human subjects protection course that's available. So this is just a little bit more depth of an introduction. What you need to learn, learning, here's an example. A lot of the learning is flip cards. So you tell somebody you need to be aware of plans and protocol, institutional approvals, and professional agreements. You should know the difference. Well, what is the difference? Well, if you flip the cards, you find out what the differences are, but if you already know it, you don't have to flip the cards. By likewise, we have a lot of tabbed learning. So for agreements, there are authorship, supervisor, mentor, sharing, and collaboration agreement. You should know about these. If you don't, check the box and find out what an authorship agreement is or what a sharing agreement is. And the purpose of this is to reduce this course to a roughly 30 to 60-minute course, depending on how much clicking you have to do, and not the full 4 to 5 hours for the beginning learners. So that's the concise course. These are part of a comprehensive program. So we offer RCR, research skills, professional development, human research ethics, and at the undergraduate, graduate, postdoc, and beginning, and you can see where the basic and the concise course fit into this learning template that we have here. Finally, the assessment. We assess learning and we assess impact. So the assessment system is as follows. A learner registers, and we have learners on the one hand, and we have an Epigeum data bank. When a learner registers, that registration is passed on to the Epigeum data bank. So we know something about our learners. They then take a course. While they're taking the course, they do embedded surveys. That embedded survey information is also fed into the data bank. And then when they finish the course, they take a test and they are certified. So that's basically our assessment system that's out there. The learning certification is based on rubrics. Right now we have 22 rubrics or essential areas that everyone is tested on. There are 5 or more questions on every rubric. Pass score can be set by the university, and scores are reported to the university. And our rubric areas look something like this: advocacy, agreements, conducting, defining RCR, institutional approval, interpreting misconduct. As I say, we have a total of 22 of them right now. And the questions are as follows: while planning research, for which of the following areas is it advisable to develop some formal agreements? We have multiple choice, multiple choice. There are 5 or more questions randomly assigned on each one. Some of them are also true and false. So this is the certification system that we have. The impact assessment, we collect information at the beginning of the course. So what is your reason for taking the course? Secondary reason. And then we ask a few pre-course questions. Small best behaviors known as questionable practices and so on. And we use these small questions for pre-test, post-test. So for example, here's a pre-post test. Concerns about serious misconduct in research are best discussed first with the person suspected of misconduct or an immediate superior before going to an institutional research integrity area officer. True or false? This is what we hope will happen. Pre-test, we're fairly sure that a sizable number of people feel that they ought to go directly to the person they suspect of misconduct. The advice usually given is you should go to a research integrity officer. So what we hope is this desired outcome will be the result of the course, or at least we can measure it and see what it is. And we believe that changes such as this will help foster integrity research. So that's our pre-post test. It's very short, fairly subtle, but designed to give you some benchmarks for telling. We also collect information about researchers' attitudes. what do they think, and can this be aligned with institutional expectations? So how important is each of the following elements when you plan your research? A plan, institutional approvals, professional agreements, responding to questionable practices, disclosing conflict of interest, conducting human and animal research subject. And again, we gather information which you can use to see whether it matches your institutional expectation. We do some climate pressures, such as how is the quality versus the quantity of publications balanced in your department. Mainly quality, equally weighted, mainly quantity. What would you do if this is the results you have? Where one department is mainly quantity and one department is mainly quality, would you talk to those departments? Would these results raise any concern? Could these perceptions have any impact on integrity? So at the same time we're delivering the training, we want to help you understand your environment and the problems. We also have some confidence and behavior ones out there. Are you confident that your research is based on reliable evidence? Why is confidence lacking if it is? Should researchers publish without confidence in their data? And the overall goal of this is to develop some profiles, an individual profile, institutional profile, and a professional profile. For the individual, what do they know? What are their confidence? What are their attitudes? What are their behaviors? For the institutions, are you fostering integrity, or are you putting pressures on that are compromising it? And for professional, are researchers feeling that their professional influences are important, and do they actually influence them? And this is what we're trying to generate through a more sophisticated, much more complex assessment system than you would get in a normal online course. So in conclusion, Epigeum's courses, its RCR courses in particular, are more than content. They're up-to-date content, there are activities that engage, the concise course speeds learning, there's rigorous certifications, and there's tools to assess impact. If you'd like to get more information and view the courses, here are the contacts for that, and I'm sure Anne-Marie will give you more contact information at the end. And with that, I think my job is to pass it over to Olivia at this point, who will now show you how some of this works.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie, and thank you, Nick, for that really interesting and informative presentation. So this screen shows you Epigeum's hosted platform where we house all of our impact courses. You'll see at the top here the title being Epigeum Impact Programs. Now this particular course here is the Responsible Conduct of Research Concise course for the US market, which Nick has just spoken to us about. So you're able to see here that there are several courses listed, and the ones at the bottom here are the optional or supplementary courses that Nick mentioned, and this one at the top of the list is the core course, which has the main mandatory information for the course and which takes approximately 45 minutes to complete. Here you can see the welcome screen, and on the left-hand side our navigation, which shows you the modules and screens that the course is composed of. And at the very end here is the certification quiz, which, as Nick has mentioned, is a very rigorous quiz based around a set of more than 20 rubrics. Now what I'd like to show you today is the way that we've actually embedded those impact questions and surveys into the course content. We've embedded them into the screens so that they form part of the learning activity itself. Now here we see the introductory screen. As Nick mentioned, this course has been designed for speed of completion, so there isn't too many activities on the screen. Here we have an impact survey which has already been taken by this user, so I'll press retake, which allows the user to answer the questions again. And this particular survey is asking how confident the user is in understanding their responsibilities for a range of elements within research integrity. As Nick has said, we have a wide variety of questions embedded through these impact tools, which will be interesting and engaging for participants and also provide you with critical information. So once the participant has answered and submitted their responses, they are automatically shown on screen the aggregate results from all participants who have answered this survey, and that's a global response, not just for within any one institution. And that really increases the learner engagement in the subject matter, and it gives them a sense of learning community as well as seeing how their peers and colleagues have responded to the same questions. Now, we certainly didn't want to overload participants with too many surveys, so you'll notice as you scroll through the course content we have other activities such as the tabbing activity that Nick mentioned earlier, or the flip card activity, but the impact surveys do not appear on every screen. They simply appear at relevant places throughout the content. I'd now like to show you the administrator tools that are available with our impact system. Again, on my screen you'll now be seeing Epigeum's hosted platform. I've logged into the platform in a demo account as an administrator, and I've clicked on the admin tab here. Now, every institution will be given your own personalized dashboard where you'll be able to access a wide range of reports. The majority of reports on the left-hand side here are general analytics that allow you to track and monitor course usage for named individuals. So you can see who has registered for the course, who has started the course, whether they've attempted the end of course quiz, and indeed what their score was on that quiz, whether they've passed or failed and what their specific score was. The important section related to the impact questions is this section here, impact reports, which I'll just click on. Now, clearly the impact surveys are asking some very sensitive information about participants' opinions on research climate within the institution and indeed their own behaviour. So we have integrated some strict software criteria to ensure that the impact data is de-identified from any particular individual, to ensure that participants feel they can respond as honestly as possible, and of course we do ask them to consent to their responses being gathered in this way before they take the course. You'll see here there are two different areas where you can access your impact reports. One of those is to actually search for a particular program. Now, this is a list of all of Epigeum's programs that are currently available with impact. So you would select the one that you have and that you're interested in running a report for. We also have this section which allows you to search by impact measure. Now again, initially you are asked to select the program you're interested in, so I'll select the RCR concise program. I'm then asked to select an impact measure, and for the RCR course, the most relevant measure we're looking at is research climate. There are several other measurements listed here. One of great interest also is the application measurement, which measures the transfer into practice 6 months after participants have completed a course. And that survey is automatically emailed out to participants 6 months post-completion, and it gathers some really interesting qualitative data regarding transfer into practice. For now, let's look at the research climate results. So I am going to click Next, which will automatically run the report for us. And you'll see that you're then presented with a screen of survey results for all of the questions which are related to the research climate. Now, this is a dummy account, so we just have some made-up data placed in here, but I'm sure you'll see that once this is actually populated with data from your own institution, it will provide some very interesting information. You are able to view the data as in different formats, so different graphs as a table view of data, and you're also able to download the data in several formats, so you can either do further statistical analyses or in more user-friendly formats for meetings and presentations. When you are looking at your own institutional data here, you will also have the ability to filter that data. Now, you can filter the data by several demographic fields. This demographic information is collected from participants when they first register on the Impact platform. The top two demographic filters here, labeled unit and department, are customizable for your specific institution. So we will work with you to make sure that participants from your institution are able to select from relevant units and departments that have been chosen by yourselves. Now, Nick gave us some food for thought earlier on, asking how you might respond if you saw different results to surveys within different departments, and this feature enables you to make those interrogations, and indeed I'm sure you'll find something quite interesting through that system. Finally, we have the ability here to toggle to a benchmark view. Now, what that does is it shows you the aggregate data from all participants who have taken part in this survey across all the institutions who are part of Epigeum's Impact collaboration. Now, you're shown in brackets the number of participants, so 334 people to date have answered this survey, and this feature really just enables you to compare your own institutional results to the norm and to see where you sit alongside other institutions. Now, we are planning to develop further features and functionality to further enhance these reporting tools in the future, and we'll certainly be making that roadmap of future developments available to everyone in due course. And if you are interested in finding out more about the Impact system, then I'm sure Anne-Marie will be able to let you know the contact details, and you can speak to us for further information. Thank you, Anne-Marie. I think I'll hand back to you now.
Okay, thank you so much, Olivia, for that. It was very informative. We actually now are at the question and answer portion. We have a few very good questions. We have a question that says, can we add any materials about our own policies and contact numbers?
Thank you, Anne-Marie, for passing that question along. So the answer to that is you are definitely able to add all of your own information, resources, contact numbers, etc. Onto a screen within your own VLE, which would then also include a link through to the Epigeum RCR programs. Now, those programs are on our hosted platform, and as Nick mentioned, that enables us to keep them up to date on a regular basis, and that is also what enables us to provide this impact survey with the related tools and reporting. So you're not able to add any information into the screens or the content itself, but we have a dedicated implementation team that will work with you in order to add all of that information in a very appropriate way within your VLE.
I hope that
answers the question.
Okay. Another question would be, does this training satisfy U.S. requirements?
It does. It depends on what requirements you're talking about. The course is primarily designed to satisfy the RCR requirement. It alone does not satisfy the RCR requirement for NIH, which has an 8-hour in-person, and that's of course why we highly recommend the blended learning to do that. It does meet the NSF requirement, which says you must have a plan, so if you use this as part of your plan, it meets that. And it covers all of the required areas. So the only thing you need to add to meet all of the U.S. requirements is some kind of an in-person follow-up on this to give you the 8 hours to meet the NIH requirement. And that is only for the more advanced students.
Great. And one last question, I think. To what extent is reliance on self-reporting, aka how confident are you questions, a suitable method? This comes from Suzanne.
If I can answer that question, it's a good question. One of the things we are in the process of doing is validating the questions. So that's the first question. To validate it is you have to make sure that they actually understand what you're asking and they're actually reporting back on what you're asking. The question of whether they're providing you reliable answers or not, that's a problem with all surveys that you have. What we want to do with this is to keep our various groups in touch with one another and have follow-up webinars so we can talk about the answers, discuss the answers, and explore what they actually mean. So it's to some extent an exploratory. It's not giving you absolute yes-nos, but it gives you things to think about as you think about what you need to do on your campus to improve research integrity. But certainly thinking about how reliable the answers are is something that we all have to do as we move forward with this project.
Okay, that's great. I think that answers the question. For now, I want to thank everybody for participating in this webinar for responsible conduct of research. If you need any more information, you can contact us at info@epigeum.com, or you can go to our website, epigeum.com, for a free trial. Thank you so much for your participation today. Have a lovely week.